All right, welcome to the training. I'm going to teach you how to comp properties and look for comparable values for free. And we do this through a site called Redfin, redfin.com. So I want to show you right here. It's redfin.com. We click this site and we're going to go to it. There are other sites like Zillow and stuff, but we use Redfin to start with. Redfin actually takes information from a few of these sites. So we always like to start here. You're certainly welcome to try Zillow, and it has a lot of the same attributes and different tools you can use. But let's start with our property address that we did on the MLS, if you were in that training, which was Ferndale, the property we just bought recently. Let's see if we get that right. And so we know it's the Ferndale in Baltimore, and it's going to take us up. So that's our house right there. So one of the things that's pretty cool, you can see we can click this picture, and I don't know, sometimes they'll let you run all around and see stuff. They'll let you ride up and down the street. Let's see if we can do that street view. So what this is estimating our property to be worth is 116. We bought it for 65,000. So this really doesn't mean a lot. So Redfin and Zillow, they don't really get this really right. The cool thing that you always want to focus on is that you want to see these houses and you want to see what they sell at the high end of the market is. Because we know once we renovate this house that we're going to bring it to whatever the high end of the solds are. So we always want to take a look. This information is a little bit useless. We don't want to get too caught up on that because they use these two properties that are on our street that are in as-is condition. It sold for 78 and sold for 132, and they say, oh, that's what your house is worth. Now they don't know like the condition of this property versus ours. They don't really know any of those things. So with that being said, they're not always going to get that right. The part where I like to go through is where it says, if we take right here, we got the property history neighborhood. Let's take a look at the neighborhood. So when we look at the neighborhood, it says medium list price 212. Now, I don't know if you remember what we came up to be the comp on when we used the MLS, but it was 213,000 to 210 to 213. So that's pretty accurate. Now, I don't know it's always accurate like this, but in this particular situation, it's very accurate. But what I would say is, though, this is going to be used not to be perfect. This tool is used for you to get a real good feel for what a house like yours would sell for. And you always want to focus on the high end, because if you don't focus on the high end, you're going to struggle understanding the difference. So we either want to focus like on the lowest sold properties in the neighborhood or the highest sold. Everything in between is very hard to understand, like the difference between this amount of quality or that amount. It's very vague and hard to understand, so it'll confuse you. But if we look and we come down to here, we can look at all the nearby similar homes. So we see we got a 165, doesn't look renovated, 179. That actually does look renovated on Haddon, but I don't think it is. And then we see this one here, 134, same thing. I got this one, 179, 269, and then that's a higher one. So we'd want to see that one. We got this one for 225. And we come down here, we got 209 sold, we got 225. Now these are nearby recent sold homes. So this is the part where I really like to look at this, because these are nearby. These are very close to our house. So when we look at this, this is very cool. This is renovated. So nice renovated house too. They did a good job on it. You can see it's a great looking property, much like we're going to make ours look. It looks just like our property by the time it's done. Let's see what the outside looks like so we can confirm that it does look similar on the outside. Oh crap, they don't have any outside pictures. But we'll have to we can look at some of the details, so we'll tell us some of that. Let's see. So it says 223 is the estimate for this property. You can even see down here we got another one that sold for 205. We got on this one, it says list price 223. It might tell you subsidy, but I don't know. But we can look and see it's a 4.5, 1,100 square feet, similar square footage, and it says that basically this sold for 223. The piece that we're missing on this is was there any seller subsidy? But again, this still gives us a good ballpark, right? It starts to let us know that these are somewhat what things are selling for. Again, you're not going to get this perfect, but if we can get pretty ballpark, I'm usually more than happy with getting in the ballpark, because I know we can't have perfection when it comes to this, but we certainly can start to get a good feel. Because free comping is never going to be perfect. It's just it's what it is. It's free comping. So this was listed for 205, but then it says the estimate. So actually it says listed sold price was 209. I'm sorry. This is the estimate that it was worth more. So they're basically saying they undersold it. Okay, got it. But they sold for 209, 210, which adds up really well because we're about 1,300 square foot, and we thought our house was worth a little more. So this confirms. But if I was just looking at this, I'd say okay, like 210,000. And let's see what other information we can get because we had a few other properties that sold that were interesting. And let's take a look at those. So this isn't a quick, easy process, but we can look through here and start to get a feel for some of the stuff. So we got this one on Oak Hill. This house is this house is a lot nicer than ours. This is actually one of my students' houses, and they put like a whole second floor on this. They did a really great job. This house sold very quickly, and they definitely got good number for this property at 229. I think they might even undersold it a little bit because it is the best house in the neighborhood. You can see that, by the way. They did a great job. Now, I did not teach them how to do this, but they are students, and they didn't make any money on this deal because they way overdid it. Now, their new deal they're doing that they learned, their first deal they're doing as my students, they're actually making money. One thing we talked about this, and I'm sure they love when I share this kind of stuff. I share a lot with them. This house is 2,100 square feet, and when you can really think about the fact it's 2,100, everything else in the neighborhood is about 11 to 1,200. So this kind of falls into that non-conforming property. So this house, in theory, says that it's worth 260, and I believe it's worth every penny at 260. The reason they only got 229 for it, though, is it's really just truly a 210 to 215 neighborhood. So they could only get about another 15K, even though in reality, in truth, this is truly a $260,000 house based on the square footage. So I'm sorry I'm jumping off track, but I just thought this was a good opportunity to teach. This really tells you a lot about over improving because they have a $260,000 home. They can only get 229 because it's so different at 2,100 square foot than everything else. But beautiful home, by the way, and they absolutely, I would say they represent the highest number you can get. I don't think we're anything near that number, by the way. So this actually just supports the fact that we're at 210. Let's go back and look at some other properties. That was a good one. It's a good one to get a feel of what we cannot be. Right, and then we're always looking for the higher numbers, by the way. So this one's a little bit too high. Actually, it says open house, so that's listed. That's not even sold. We want the recent nearby sold. Let's see if we got any more. I think we just have those two, unless there's some more stuff down here. Let's just take a quick look. Okay, so not a ton of stuff here in Zillow, but we got a couple comps, and we got a 210, we got a 229. It's much better. We got this 228, but I think these are listed, by the way. I don't actually think nearby similar homes. Let's see if these are sold. I have a feeling they're actually just listed at this price. So Redfin 4 days. Yeah, this is a listed property at 228. So let's see if it's nice. That's fixed up. Okay, so it's renovated. It's a very nice house. I got it. So we can see that people are trying to get anywhere, in the low twos in this neighborhood. So, I mean, just a wild guess, I would probably be like, I would not be able to come up with a very certain number off of Redfin, but I could easily say, okay, houses are selling for about 210 to 220 in this neighborhood, maybe 230 if they're really nice. Now, this hasn't sold yet, so we don't want to count that one yet. I have a feeling at a 3-1, 1,200 square feet, they might not be able to get that number. That might be a little bit on the high end. But as we've seen all the other properties, we can tell that, we got a ballpark, and that's all we're ever looking for when we're just trying to decide whether a house makes sense to put work into it or not. Now, when you go to buy the house, if you're actually going to buy it and renovate it, you definitely want to bring a professional in and get somebody to go on to MLS and really dig through and look at these numbers and really take time to get it right. It's very important that you get it right. Redfin will not do that for you, but Redfin will do a great job of just giving you some great market information and getting you in the ballpark so you can know if you have something worthwhile, worth talking about. There's another service called Privy, and we don't really have training on Privy. It's a new product. It's something that a few of my students is using. They do like it. I personally have never used it because I have the MLS. But if you are willing to pay $50 or $100 a month, you can access the Privy, and it's supposed to give you MLS access. Why I'm not training you on Privy is that if you buy Privy, it's P-I-V-Y. Yeah, P-I-V-Y, Privy. If you buy Privy, they have a lot of training to teach you how to use it. And so obviously they're going to do a much better job teaching you to use it than I would. So I'm not even going to jump into that. I don't know how to use it that well. I mean, I've seen it a few times, but I don't use it because I don't have a necessity. My belief is when you're new, you can use Redfin. If you want to buy Privy, that is an easy way, next step. But the final step of really getting serious and running a business is get access to the MLS, either through a realtor realtor or them sending you, comps, things like that, because it's just going to be the most accurate information. As we talked about in a deal analyzer, the more accurate your information is, the better offers you make, because you can get really precise to know, like, okay, I can offer another 5K on this deal and get it, and it still makes sense. And that confidence will allow you to be very strong in winning deals, because when you have a lack of understanding, maybe you're like, it's 210 to 220. The problem is we don't know if it's 220 or 210. That's a $10,000 difference. So for me, if I was unsure, I would probably just go with the 210. In this scenario, I'd be right, but in certain scenarios, it would be 220, and I would think it's 210, and I wouldn't win my deal. So again, this is not for making big financial decisions. This is really just about gathering as much information as you can for free. If you don't have access to MLS, I recommend that you make a relationship, get a friend, get someone to give you this access, or get privy, because that is the best service that I've heard. You can do some shopping to see if there's other good services to get MLS access without being a realtor.